This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of BTL. It's like a shortened BTL and an audio BTL, but I'll tell you one thing about the Lane brothers, Chris and Bobby. I haven't had Arnie on before. They will go out of their way to make sure that they can assist you and help you out in any way to get your show done. So I've had two guests on recently. Both of them took time out of their day to jump on. There is a MLF Invitational that is going on down in Florida this week, fresh off of a Bass Pro Tour victory. Bobby Lane is traveling to make sure all of his T's are crossed and I's are dotted in back-to-back events, looking to win back-to-back events in Florida. But he said he would jump on BTL as he was headed to the meeting. So what's up, Bobby?
Dude, it is another day. It is another day, and I'm all smiles. I can tell you that. I like you said, Matt, I'm on my way to the the Invitational here on the Kissimmee Chain of Lakes. A little frustrated because this is my home pond. I love this place. We have a major cold front that's blowing through as we speak, and it's going to be in the mid-30s in the morning. And I didn't get to practice like I really wanted to because of a shortened week, but it was a good shortened week, answering 280 or 90 text messages on Monday morning while practice was going on. Taking time out to do interviews and podcasts and whatnot, but that's my job, dude. I'm stoked for the opportunity tomorrow. I feel like if it would have stayed warm, there's a small chance to go back to back. You never count yourself down here, but weather and wind, I think it's going to hinder, a lot of guys.
Now, I was able to watch the highlights of the last hour or two, but did I see where like your family was able to like watch you win it from the bank?
Dude, this is so crazy. So my daughter, Lexi, her new husband, Kenny, my new son-in-law, and my wife, Madeline, there is a hiking trail along Lake Apopka on the east side, and it's open on the weekends, and you can drive your truck down there. You can bird watch and do everything. It's a beautiful place. Like, it's hundreds and thousands of people are on it every day. And I caught a few fish, and I knew that there was enough following me the whole day through that weather. I don't know how they stayed out there, but I kept hearing this screaming over on the dike. And every time I'd catch one, I just hold it up towards them, and I'd be like, oh, cool, they're watching live. And either the cameraman or somebody said something to me like, Bobby, that's your family over there. And I'm like, what? And, of course, I got a really big lead by now. We're coming down to the last 20 maybe. So I've been catching them right by the dike. So I kind of got as close as I could. And I couldn't believe it, but there's Lexi, Kenny, and my wife, and I could hear them. Oh, he caught another one. And then I knew the voice and the sound. So, yes, Lexi pulled me up on 360, and she's like, Mom, Dad is right here somewhere. And Madeline's like, no way. Lexi's like, Mom, I'm telling you, we are right near Dad. And they didn't have a clue, and I didn't have a clue. So, yes, the minute I finished my little winning speech and whatnot, I beelined my boat straight over to the dike, dropped my power poles, and jumped off onto the rocks and celebrated with them. Like, that was super, super cool. Bobby Jr. was in a tournament that day on Lake Arbuckle where he finished second, and my other daughter, Amberly, was at home with my parents at the house, and they all FaceTimed. So, dude, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was not a planned deal. The last time I remember something like that going down was, do you remember when Polinick had his like entire family in the woods at the Bassmaster Classic on Grand Lake?
I do remember that. And yeah, like Zach Burge won Grand Lake last time we were there. Or no, he won Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma last year, and his wife and kids got to go down the bank right there and fish. So super cool moment.
Yeah. All right. I'm actually showing a highlight of the final round here where you are jacking big ones. And I actually talked to a couple other competitors that were in the final round, and it seemed like, I'm interested if this was like a veteran Florida move or if this was just happenstance, but man, there's a lot of wind in those areas where you're catching them, Bobby. And from what I've understood in my very limited Florida experience, like wind and turbid water and reeds don't really match, but it seemed like that's where you got the job done on the final day.
I proved the wind is not your friend philosophy wrong, right?
Yeah.
The wind was my friend. Well, here's the way the whole day shook out in a nutshell, man. I drove through there the first morning before lines in. We get a 30-minute ride around. I drove the same area. I shut the boat down, and it was just crashing in there, even harder than what that highlight was right there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. So I went to the south end of the lake. I had a patch of pads down there that I had a bite in practice, but it was a good bite. And of course, there's a well-known point down there called Crown Point. And I drove to the Crown Point, and I only got about 5 minutes to go before lines in, and nobody was over there, and it was calm. And I'm like, I'm just going to start right here. It's got a few outside cattails, blah, blah, blah. And I started there, and I caught a 5.8, like on my third or fourth flip. Like, what a way to start the morning. Milled around in there, caught, I think, two more. Maybe lost one in a pad, something like that. Dude, I just wasn't feeling it. So I ran up the east side of the lake on the end of the first period, and I shut the boat down about halfway because you can't drive the boat when the 15-minute break starts. And at this time, Matt, I'm out of fish. Like, I don't want to go to the west side because that's where all the dead fish were. I don't have anything else. And at this time, I'm like, well, I'm going to go flip my magic pads that I haven't caught a fish in all week, but they were stacked in there in practice.
Okay.
And then I'm going to make a pass through those reeds. And I caught one in the pads right when I got there, and that was it. It was falling on me. And it's not like I tried to get in front of the pads, where I could drop my power poles and let my boat swing down. It just, where the pads are, it drops off into like 3 foot of water, and where I was dropping my power poles is like 1 foot. It just didn't. And I said, all right. So I ran up to the reeds that I had been catching them in, and I got on the back side of it, and I could fish. It wasn't ideal, but the water looked okay. I didn't have a mud line yet, and not maybe 10, 15 minutes while I'm in there, I catch about a 4.5 pounder. And I'm like, okay, I'm still 18, 20 pounds back. I don't know if it was after that 4 or not, but it was a good fish, and it hit it just like it was supposed to. And I'm like, okay, I don't need to change baits. I don't need to change anything I'm doing. I just need to be mentally prepared that this wind is going to kill me. And I got down those reed stretches, and that's where that highlight was, the honey hole, where I caught, within the next 20 yards, dude, I caught like 5 plus pounders and a 6-1 there and a bunch of 3s and 2s. So I roll in there, I drop my power poles, and I missed one the day before, and I flipped and just kind of let my Maxent General sit on the bottom, and I was just kind of hopping it up and down. The line jumped, and it was that 5-10 that I caught. And at that moment, I'm like, I can't believe these fish are still biting. Like, what in the world is going on? Well, like 3 flips later, I catch another one, and I'm like, okay, we can do it right here. The wind is going to shift around this 1:30, 2 o'clock, which still gives me a good hour and a half to really hit this area the way I need to. And I tried not to trash it, right? Like, I tried not to get way up in and stir everything up and break all the reeds to just make one flip. So I had to be cautious at what I was doing, but I'm with you. I'm amazed at those fish still bit. Jacob Wheeler actually came in there, caught a 7-pounder. And if you go back to the show at all, when he lands that fish, he goes, I messed up. And when he said that, I knew right then at that moment, he knew that he couldn't believe either that those fish were biting in them windy conditions. So just good decisions. Glad I didn't have any to go to. I was never going to pull the plug on Lake Apopka, but I was definitely kind of amazed myself that those fish were still eating in those reeds. Like I said, I had a 20-yard line, and I mean a brown mud line in front of me. And if it would have blown for another, I'm going to say 15 to 30 minutes, the way in the direction that it was still blowing, everything in there would have crashed pretty quickly and probably not going to blow out fast enough. So, man, dude, it just all went to perfection.
Did it, if you look back over the last 4 years of your career, BPT opens, back to the BPT, and then to lift and then to lift this trophy, and then have your family there, and then have $150,000 with it, like kind of a dream scenario. Did it validate your decisions? Would you have been happy regardless of what happened, or was there a little bit extra juice in this win just over what you've been through, and then missing the Elite Series by one spot? What you've been through over the past 4 years, like when you were able, and I showed the picture and I'll show it up right now with your family on the stage with the fireworks going off. Was that a little bit extra special for you?
Dude, of course it is. And yes, let's make no mistake about it. I made a decision to go to the Opens. For some reason, it wasn't meant to be. Kind of like the Red Crest when I weighed that fish on the third and final weigh. It weighed 2 pounds to get me the win there. It was meant to be. It wasn't meant for me to make the Opens. It was meant for me to go back to Major League fishing with my brother and hang out with Justin Lucas and room together with those guys. My wife had surgery 2 weeks ago, appendicitis. My son wrecked his truck. It's been in the shop since. My daughter got married in January. She moved out. I mean,
holy smokes.
We've had a lot going on, dude. We have had a lot going on. So this was super sweet. Yes, to have the family there meant the world for me. To get to just to know that I made the right decisions, even in the wind. It was all meant to be. God has a purpose in life. I swear. Sometimes we don't see it. Me and my wife have doubled down on everything we believe in. Born again Christians and trying to make the best decisions, although we're fall short all the time. But it's little things like this that just, man, keep one foot in front of the other. Like I had every reason just to put my rods away and say I quit, but it's in me, man. I love doing it. And I just came off a bad deal at Conroe. That didn't go as planned, a 45th. And I'm like, what a way to start your year. And then to back it up with this win, having my Phoenix, my Yamaha, dude, getting me to Lake Apopka every day. I thought I blew my motor the second day. I'm boat 4 go. I'm not kidding you, Matt. I thought I blew my motor. I'm boat 4 go out, and I get halfway across the Harris chain, and I'm down. I was doing 67 or 68. I'm flying. I'm going to make it first to the lock, and all of a sudden my motor just slows down, and I'm like, what in the heck is going on? I full throttle, and now it drops to like 54, and I'm like, no, I don't want to fish Harris all day. So I look back there and my power poles are halfway down, dragging through the water. And dude, I don't know if I was more excited that my poles lifted up when I was doing 55 miles an hour, or the fact that I just won 150 grand. But for me to make it all the way there and back was, I'm telling you, there's little things in life that I got the chills just thinking about that adrenaline rush I got when I saw my power poles were dragging the water, and that's why I was going so slow, man. It it was just one of those weeks, and
Yeah.
to come with the victories, phenomenal. Like you said, to have my wife there, to have everybody on FaceTime, to do it in the home state of Florida. I finished second last time we were at the Harris Chain, and didn't get it done. Missed really enough to win that one, and to come out with a bang on this one, to make that right decision, knowing that wind is going to shift. And if you get any highlights at the end of the day there, you will see it looks like it went from 3-foot waves to 0-foot waves and slick calm, and it got quiet and it got still. And at that moment, I'm like, it's my time to shine. And then big ones bit, and the next big one bit, and then the next one bit. And then I dove on one, and then it just kept happening. And I lost one right at the end, and I could hear my wife say, "Oh, well, he did that one anyways." I set one right across the boat, man. I can relive it a thousand times. I can't wait to get next week and get a little bit of a break and watch all of this again, and then just kind of take it all in. Like I said, literally, I'm beat up, man. I went hard in practice here, and practiced Monday till dark, Tuesday till dark, and yesterday till dark. So haven't really had a good time to sit down with my wife and my family, and we all say, but we will, and we'll have fun doing it. But that was all of what I just said, just made that win extra special.
Chatting with the Bass Pro Tour champion from the Harris Chain last week, Bobby Lane. He's currently in his off day, preparing for the next invitational back-to-back events, like he said, in his home state. Can I get you for a couple more minutes? I know I appreciate you jumping on. Got a couple more questions, and we'll let you go. The first one being, what was it like to know that you were chasing down Mark Davis with Terry Scroggins in the top 10? Andy Morgan in the top 10, a lot of years of experience, power fishing years of experience. You guys were down there. It really had, and not to say that forward facing didn't play for a lot of the guys that made the cut, but it really had an old school feel to this event. Did you get that vibe on that final day too, of just an old school beatdown? Whoever can stick the most and get them out of the reeds is going to win this sucker?
Dude, that never crossed my mind one time. I have been on both sides of this. I think the Red Crest, we remember, I caught him on a jig and a crankbait the whole entire week, and blah, blah, blah. But I have been where I'm thinking, okay, no way forward's going to win. And it slaughters them, and the top 10 are all forward facing. Like, I am very, very aware of what my active target can do when it's played out right. And I never once thought, okay, nobody's using it, one of us are going to win. Like, I never once that crossed my mind. I was so laser focused on, once I got that first 4.5 pounder to bite in the second period in my area, I had to stay laser focused, because I have a 20-pound deficit I got to overcome, or an 18 or 19, whatever it was. That's a lot of fish, man. That's a big deficit. Same as the Red Crest, dude. I was 13, 15, 20 pounds back in that, and came back and just caught big ones and good ones, and they were starting to fire. I mean, that's the kind of things I dream about, or when you make that decision, Matt, just like I did at the Red Crest and Lake, to go shallow, to pitch behind docks that weren't even in the water 3 days ago, and catch big ones. That's exactly what happened here at Apopka. I made that decision to go up there, and Jacob Wheeler and me shared that water. Gary Klein, Terry Scroggins, I heard him say, I know where Bobby's at. I can't believe he's in the wind. Terry had a good idea I was there. He never drove by. But just to make those decisions, dude, means the world, man. Means I still got it. Means I'm still 100% competitive. And when you can make good decisions like that, and let's face it, I wish they were all down here in Florida, but they're not. So I'd love to live and breathe by that 7.6 Fantasista X and that flipping reel and Durabraid my whole life, but I can't. I know, my next event after this one's probably going to be a lot more cranking, winding bait, stuff like that. I'm definitely going to be using forward, but that never crossed my mind. And yes, the old school beatdown felt so good. Hook set after hook set after hook set, and big one after big one. It's kind of like they were there as thick as these guys catch them on forward facing sonar, except I was in 2 foot of water. That's the kind of beatdown that was.
Yeah, no,
So
when I
it
had
was nice
Terry
to
on,
return the favor, nice to return a little bit of what they do to me when they get on like they did at Conroe. They catch them over and over and over again.
you must have been pumped because Terry said that you were within earshot because he could hear you.
Okay, well, Terry spent a lot of time there.
He said he could hear you hollering and he knew it was going down. Big event. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on this Tackle Warehouse invitational that's coming up on the Kissimmee chain. You mentioned it's your home lake. You've got a brother and a nephew also competing in it with Chris and Cal.
You got me?
Yep, I got you. You still got me?
Hello.
Yep, I got you, Bobby. You got me? Hello. You there? Oh, we're in Florida. We're going to lose him. What I was going to ask him about was...
Hello.
Yep. Can you hear me, Bobby? How about now? Bobby Lane. Here, I'm going to kick him off, and then I'm going to have him jump back on. What I want to know is the first event with the hybrid 1 day with forward-facing, 1 day without forward-facing. So,
sorry,
now
dude.
we got...
Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Now we got video. Oh my gosh. We got the best of both worlds. All right. My question was, Bobby, you're headed to your home lake. You got your brother, your nephew in it, but it's the first hybrid 1 day with forward facing, 1 day without. How do you think that's going to play out? Do you think that's going to be a major factor? Or is this going to be another, we're seeing it go down on the Elite Series right now on a tough bite with a cold front coming through. How do you think that new format's going to play out this week on the invitationals?
Yeah, dude, we got some good guys that are good at forward. Brody Campbell won a Bartow Ford down here. We got Cal's buddy there. I can't even remember. There's
That's
so
okay.
many of them.
Yeah, they're all 20 years old. You haven't heard of them.
They're all 20 years old and they're hammers. So we have a really strong north wind tomorrow, and it's going to be really cold. So I would say absolutely, I think it is going to come into play. But dude, if those fish start to bite at all in the pads and in the grass and stuff, I'm all right. Thank you, sir. I'm on the phone. I had to pull over because I had to drop my directions to get you. But I think it's going to be the guy that can grind it out the most. The fish were definitely biting in practice. It's going to slow them down. So the guy that slows down the most and gets that key bite, that 4 to 7 pounder or 5 to 7, 8 pounder, is going to be the guy that advances into check range and then advances into the championship. I think the wind's going to lay down on Saturday and Sunday. So I don't see forward winning, but I have been wrong so many times. But I think if they keep 25 out of this tournament, I'd say 15 from Toho, 8 from Kissimmee, and the rest are going to come from other lakes.
I like it. Well, I'm going to let you go, Bobby. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to jump on BTL. There you are.
Yep. All good, dude. Thank you for having me. Yes, let's get after him, man. I can't wait to, you're right, though. I'm pulling into the house now with my brother and Cal. It's kind of all coming full circle.
So it's you three?
Us three, and then one day I hope my son gets to join us all. That'll
dude,
be
if there's ever been a Netflix reality show about fishing, I mean, I know there's been it. I'm just saying, Bobby Jr., Cal, Chris, and Bobby in a house fishing the same tour would be must-watch TV.
It would have to be. Let's get her done, son.
All right. The one other thing that I wanted to point out was it was nice to have a BPT event with a boat race.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd never seen those guys like we did. We did it. All those guys were just balls to the wall trying to get to the Apopka lock.
Unreal. Yeah, and then we had several extras the next day, but
yeah. Oh, and then Bobby got a call. Someone's probably saying, "Hey, why are you sitting out in the parking lot?" I guarantee that's Chris going, "Hey, where are you at?" All right, we're gonna take a first break of the show. When we come back, wrap things up, but great interview with Bobby Lane there in Florida, not known for the best play Swiss service. We'll be back right after this. Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's two best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top 100, Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
All right, welcome back, BTL. Special edition BTL Thursday afternoon. Had a great week of shows and did day 4 with Frank Scalish earlier, but a lot of bass fishing going on in the world right now, primarily in Florida. We just talked with Bobby Lane, who talked about his old school win down in Apopka, which is really interesting. You know, it's a field of 65 boats, and they cut that BPT field down from 80 to 65 this year. They're going to go to 50 next year, which will be really interesting. But if you've been there, if you know how that system works, I mean, there is a lot of water you can fish. It's basically like 8 fisheries in one, if you really think about it that way. But Apopka, really popular for a couple guys back in the day. Then it became like the trendy place to go to for a number of years. There was an open there where a lot of guys top 10'd out of it. And then they actually had a fish kill there recently. So it was really kind of a wild card as to how much impact Apopka would play. If you listen to the Terry Scroggins show that we had 2 days ago, you know that in order to get from where they took out of, we kind of did a track of how to get there. That lock is super small. Then you have a long canal that you have to run. Before that, you have to idle through the Dora Canal. You have to go through a number of different lakes to get there. I mean, it's half of a period basically by the time they take off and use their 15-minute run time to get to the spot. But just amazing how that lake, even after the fish kill, the resilience, and it's like a different fishery than a lot of other fisheries on that system. I've spent a little bit of time in there. I probably fished Apopka for 3 days. I've never claimed to be good in Florida or understand how and why. Like, it still blows my mind if you look at the top 10 on that, and it's just like stick bait, stick bait, stick bait, stick bait, flipping bait, chatterbait, stick bait. They love a stick bait there. But the Elite Series looks like it is a bit of a different tournament on the St. Johns River right now. We're kind of halfway through at the time of this recording, the first day, talking with some of those Elite Series anglers and looking at some of the coverage down there. You know, it's usually a shell bed deal. It's usually an eelgrass deal, a spawning deal. Last year was a scope deal. There's some areas they're not allowed to go to this year, and it seems like it's a real grind. We've been used to a lot of real slugfest to kick the year off, both in Florida and in Texas. And this one Right now, Bill Lowen's leading it with 18 pounds, but halfway through the first day, there's only 5 anglers that have 12 pounds, which is a 2.5 average. I know you're dealing with cold fronts in Florida. You're dealing with a lot of different factors, but a good old fashioned post cold front Florida grinder. I have a feeling that's what we might be in store for the invitationals with that unique format. So the first day, forward facing sonar, everyone can use it the entire day. The second day, they can't use it. And then those that make the cut, you can use it on the final day. So lots of fishing to watch over the weekend. Lots of guys also live streaming from Florida. Logan Parks, Chris Aldane, a number of other guys doing that the same too. So it'll be interesting to watch that and the coverage for that. We will be back on Monday with a full live show for BTL. Little short afternoon show today. Thanks, Bobby, for jumping on. Greatly appreciate it. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.